SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
William Carey University Athletics.
Every sport you find exciting.
Crusader Talk. Crusader Talk.
And now,
This is Crusader Talk. Crusader Talk. We're covering everything William Carey University Athletics. From the field to the court and the diamond on SuperTalk Hattiesburg 97.3 and SuperTalkHattiesburg.com.
All right, let's see if I remember how to do this. Welcome, everyone, to Crusader Talk. Glad to have you with us. I'm Caleb Hamill. My co-host is Josh West, and Dalton Stanford is behind the board, and we are glad to have you on this Monday evening, or Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever it is, day it is you happen to listen. We are glad you are choosing to make us part of your day. Evening, morning, afternoon, midnight snack, you name it. We're there for you. But hey, we have got a lot to get to, a lot of good stuff to talk about because basketball still in season. We are not done yet. In fact, both teams are not done yet, thanks to great performances throughout the year and on into the postseason of the SSEC tournament. And meanwhile, baseball right in the middle of conference play, softball about to begin conference play. And so we've got all that to get to. But Josh, man, thanks for filling in for me, riding solo on the podcast. Man, you had some great guests on there. Good content to fill and good stuff to talk about, knowing how well that SSAC tournament went.
Boy, it went really, really well. That was a lot of fun. And I don't know if this is true or not. Ben's going to have to confirm, Ben Smith. But I don't know if it was – I don't think it was just Ben. I think it was like multiple people in the athletic department. And, again, this is just rumor, that did not want to come over to Montgomery in fear of jinxing it. Is that true? It sounds plausible.
Oh, it's very plausible. Think about who you're talking about. No,
this is Tracy English's English department, but Tracy was already there.
Tracy was already there. It makes sense.
But if you show up and they lose, Tracy will notice.
Right.
But
you got to think about
Tracy.
Who's your assistant AD though? Baseball guy.
Ben
Smith, highly stitious.
Not
just superstitious, extremely highly stitious.
And Ben and I, we had a good time. You know, Ben was over there the previous year, so everybody was excited to be watching and listening from afar, and really locked into what was going on. And it was it was just a magical week. I've got the audio. You can pull the tape. I said, hey, look. I said, we've done the whole regular season champion thing, undefeated thing. Let's just go in with no momentum, and let's just hit the reset button, and let's go on a little bit of a revenge tour, and let's just go win this thing. And it's exactly what the ladies did.
Yeah. And the guys, too. I mean, I know they finished second in the tournament with a 3-point loss to Dalton State, but still just a terrific showing by those guys after kind of finding their way into the number one overall seed and winning the conference outright. It was really impressive, the showing they've had here late in the season, and it really gears me up for what's about to be hopefully a long postseason run for hopefully both teams, but we would especially hope at least one of them will make it to the final site.
Well, and what they we know the way William Carey men's basketball has to play. And for those that don't, it is high energy, not a lot of height. It is full court pressure, half court trap, transition basketball, shoot a ton of threes. Second to third in the country in shots per game at around 72. Second in the country in scoring at 91.9 points per game. Top 15 in the country, top 20 in terms of made threes. I say all of that to paint a picture of takes a lot of energy. Well, here's the good news. Carey men's basketball does not have to play 3 games in a row anymore. They will have a 2-game weekend coming up this weekend. So there's no more 3 in a row. Mm-hmm. That third in a row really wears on you when you play the type of tempo Carey does, because they cannot get bogged down in a half-court game. They're just not going to match up with so many teams in their size inside, their length. Carey is not a great team rebounding. They're a much better team rebounding when the other team is not set defensively. That's why they come down the floor, shoot quick threes. Everybody's crashing the glass. They get an offensive rebound. So they can rebound it really well, but they're not going to be able to get position, keep position, fight around guys that are, in some cases 3, 4, 5, 6 inches taller. It's just not going to happen. So the fact that we're in this situation now moving forward where it's no more than 2 games in a row, and that's something that Coach Knight was quick to point out, after the tournament and through last week, I think that is huge. Huge for men's basketball.
Yeah. You want to start with men's basketball, talking about what's coming up? So you mentioned 2 games in a row, hopefully. That's if you win the first one.
Got to win the first one. Got to get settled in.
Selection show happened for both men's and women's basketball. William Carey men will be traveling out to Williamsburg, Kentucky. And Clayton, cover your ears. Cumberland's will be the host as William Carey will face off against them. I only say that because they beat Carey in women's soccer in the national championship a couple years back. But the Patriots will host the Crusaders. I guess it works for me, too, because Cumberland's beat Carey in Lewiston as well. So that's a bit of a team that in postseason for different clubs has kind of given Carey some trouble in years past. They're going to be the 4 seed, and Carey will be a 5 seed being at that tournament. I think I've got that right. But that said, Carey is one of 5 SSAC teams to make it. Dalton State is in, obviously by way of winning the conference tournament, as well as their overall record would have gotten them in anyway. Then at large bids Faulkner, Life, and Loyola, in addition to William Carey, all making appearances for this season. Now, when you look at the general layout of how it all shakes out for William Carey, this is the 4-team bracket that involves the Crusaders. Cumberland's the host, will take on number 13 Indiana Tech. Meanwhile, William Carey gets future conference opponent, the Xavier Gold Nuggets. Or no, Gold Rush, excuse me. I had to get the men's and women's teams straight in my head. The Gold Rush from down in New Orleans. So instead of hosting this year, they're the 12 seed playing the number 5 seed William Carey over there in Williamsburg. Josh, you're going to be out there for that one. And we can't look past Xavier because that's a team that's out for blood. This is a team that we'll get to see a lot more in the coming years as they'll be SSAC starting next year, as a matter of fact, I want to say. But you got that, and then the winner of Cumberland's and Indiana Tech in consecutive days. It's just that pedal to the metal type of season, or time of season, where you just got to go right at your opponent and get ready.
Yeah, Carey's a matchup nightmare for a lot of teams. I mean, there's a lot of teams that Carey on paper, player for player, in terms of height, doesn't match up with. But what Carey has done such a great job, again, in men's basketball of doing is that you have to chase them. You have to keep up with them. So you may have a very tall lineup, but you're going to have to adjust your lineup typically at some point of the game, and you're going to have to pare down to a smaller lineup to be able to match up with Carey because of their ability to get out and run and be able to get to the offensive glass with their speed and quickness, and be able to have guys that can create shots off the bounce, get to the rim, shoot free throws. A lot of Carey guys are very well built, very strong. And so Xavier is going to be as equipped as anybody Carey has played all year to match up with them, very much in the vein of an LSU Shreveport, very much like a Mobile, a Life, a Dalton State, a Stillman. A lot of HBCU-AC schools match up very well with Carey. And so, and in the same vein, that's why Carey's built their team that way, to match up with those high RPI teams who have the non-conference schedule and build that resume. But if they win that game, you really like Carey's chances to do the double and get back to Kansas City. Your thoughts on that?
I mean, it would be huge. And the first matchup, I think, against Xavier is one where statistically Carey should be heavily favored in that one. Carey's averaging just under 92 points per game, Xavier at 79, and playing a fairly similar league, a big basketball-heavy conference in the GCAC, now HBCU conference. But Carey will have to play discipline. They'll have to continue to play their game the way that they're meant to, keep guys out of foul trouble. Yeah, that's something that you've noticed lately. It really gets set for a big matchup, again, hopefully, or you would assume with Cumberland's being the one that the Crusaders would take on next. But, I like Carey's chances. I mean, of all the brackets they could get put in, you're glad it's there, that they're not going to Freed-Hardeman, that they're not going to
not going to Shreveport.
Some of these other big, more regional teams, but higher caliber teams. It would have just been a slap in the face to put Carey over there. So I'm glad Carey's not sent way out west or way up in the Northeast or Midwest.
Sure.
You're kind of in that sweet spot of, okay, you're still in the regionality of southeastern United States. Kentucky's kind of on that fringe, but still, you're in that general area. You're not having to go a long, long trip, and at the same time, it's a pretty decent matchup moving forward.
Let me say something else about this, something that throughout the season carries over. Some of the guys that ref JUCO, ref SSAC, and also even ref in the tournament. Going up to Kentucky, I don't think there's going to be any preconceived notions about Cary, our style of play, our personnel. We have some players that are extremely passionate, extremely animated at times. That'll work the officials for calls even. And so to have an official that maybe has seen Cary at some point earlier in the season could be a negative. That could happen at Shreveport. I think going to somewhere where Cary is an unknown is also going to hopefully play into Cary's favor as well.
Yeah. So just to put a wrap on the conference, Loyola does have to go to Freed Hardeman over in Henderson, Tennessee. Life will travel to number 3 Georgetown out of Kentucky. Faulkner travels to Columbia, Missouri to face off against the number 4 seed in that bracket. And then Dalton State travels to Marion, Indiana to face off in a bracket with number 2 Indiana Wesleyan. We'll turn our attention to the women's side of the NAIA bracket when we come back. You're listening to Crusader Talk.
Talking everything William Carey University athletics. This is Crusader Talk on SuperTalk Hattiesburg 97.3 and SuperTalkHattiesburg.com.
All right, back with you here on Crusader Talk. Caleb Hamill, Josh West with you, Dalton Stanford behind the board. We're wrapping up the conversation of men's basketball in the SSAC and where they are placed. Do want to make a slight correction. I said Faulkner would face off against Columbia. That's actually who their second-round opponent could be as they travel to Columbia, Missouri. But it's Pikeville that they'll actually face off against in round number 1. And the winner of that one gets the winner of Columbia and McPherson. So that is what Faulkner has to look forward to as they make their 16th all-time appearance in the men's NAIA tournament. For Cary, it's their 15th appearance all-time. So those two are neck and neck in that regard. But let's turn our attention now to the ladies' side. And was not a strong field this year for the SSAC, but still got 4 teams in. William Carey, obviously, by way of winning the conference tournament. They will go to Springfield, Missouri, as the number 5 seed. Evangel is the team hosting the Crusaders out there. Carey will get to face off against Shawnee State in round 1. Meanwhile, Evangel faces against USAO. $5 if you can name me right off the top of your head what USAO stands for. But UT Southern, do you know?
No. But isn't Evangel Assemblies of God?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, because I believe so. I mean, that's like the World Assemblies of God headquarters there in Springfield.
In fact, a good friend of mine, his mom went there.
A lot of missions work goes out of Springfield.
Yeah. So that's where Carey's destined. It's their 6th all-time appearance in the NAIA tournament. Tennessee Southern travels to Spring Arbor, Michigan, and they will be hosted by they are the 3 seed, but Spring Arbor, the 6 seed, is the one hosting them. So Tennessee Southern will get a crack at number 14 Northwestern, also in that bracket, number 11 Indiana Tech. So one of those higher seeds that's traveling to a different location in that one. Meanwhile, Loyola, they get to travel to Georgetown, Kentucky. They're also a better seed traveling to a slightly lower seed. Loyola is the 4, Georgetown's the 5. Loyola gets to face off against Milligan, the Buffaloes, and then Taylor out of Indiana will be the 12 seed in that one. Elsewhere, Faulkner gets to host on the women's side. They are making just their 4th all-time appearance in the NAIA tournament. They are hosting as an 11 seed, and they are hosting Lindsey Wilson, the 3, Southeastern, the 6, and then Williams Baptist is 14. So it'll be Faulkner versus Southeastern in round 1, with the winner to play the victor of Lindsey Wilson and Williams Baptist. So William Carey gets to travel to Springfield, Missouri. I know you're going to Williamsburg, Kentucky, but wouldn't you have liked to go to the home of the original Bass Pro Shop?
Yes. No, I would have. I mean, I was in.
It was a tough decision, though, to have to pick between those two.
No, I think you just went with kind of the same metrics you looked at last year. Women's basketball was undefeated. Women's basketball was right there in New Orleans at Xavier. And what a fun few days that was in New Orleans. To go down there, be a part of that, to win, to be able to pick up a win and get to that round of 32 was incredible. And when I looked through this bracket, the things that jump out to me were, like you said, Faulkner getting a host, which is great for their program, great for the league. Loyola, I think Loyola goes up there and wins that. I think Loyola is absolutely talented enough to go to Georgetown and win that. Although Georgetown's going to be an extremely talented and disciplined team, one that Carey defeated this year down in Florida. I think Loyola can win that. And then how about Tennessee Southern? How about the emergence of their women's basketball program to get a 3 seed? And for whatever reason, they were, I don't know if flat's not the word, maybe a little tired. Tennessee Southern certainly was not the Tennessee Southern that came to Hattiesburg clicking on all cylinders from the previous weekend when we beat them in the championship. And William Carey played fantastic in that game. And as we've mentioned, Mia Doyle was tremendous with the 14 rebounds, career high, to do that. But I'm interested to see what Tennessee Southern does. I think Loyola can win that bracket. Faulkner, tremendous thing to host. And Carey, can they get out there and win the first one? Can they go and win the first game, the 5 over the 12? Can they take out Shawnee State? And if they do, they're a win away from getting to the final site and besting last year, which would be tremendous shorthanded. And I wish I had a report right now on Chanel Corpus, but we might not need to share it.
I was about to say, Shawnee State would love to know as well.
Yeah, so we might not need to share that, but I'm not going to rule out with the information that I know that she's playing or not. So it never would surprise me what Chanel Corpus does. But I will say that the speed Carey needs to play at, with 2 bad wheels right now, in large part, I don't think Chanel Corpus can play at that speed.
Yeah, it'll be tough. And just to kind of give you a glance at who Shawnee State is, a team out of Ohio, they were on a 5-game winning streak prior to falling in their conference tournament, or their final conference game of the year, 82-61 at the hands of Brescia University. I'm learning all kinds of new ones today. But all in all, they're a fair team. No stat is just one that's going to jump out at you. They can score it, but typically you're sitting around mid-60s to low 70s as far as their point totals in games. All in all, going to be a formidable foe for Carey moving forward. And then Evangel, very similar to William Carey. Very good on the offensive side, decent team down low. And as the host school, you can't NAIA sometimes home field advantage is less of a factor as it is at some higher levels, but still something to think about when you get to wake up in your own bed. You get to roll out to the gym that you're familiar with, you've been shooting in all year. We talk about that at William Carey some. If you've ever been a player for the Crusaders, you're used to shooting in that gym. You love the depth perception of having that cinder block wall right behind the goal. You know exactly where on the floor you are, how far you got to shoot it to make it go in. And being at a different court sometimes has its disadvantages. Evangel will have that advantage if it is all chalk going into the second round of the tournament. But all that said, a 4 versus 5 type of matchup going on there if, again, everything stays the way it is and Carey wins and Evangel wins over there in Springfield, Missouri.
I, again, win that first one, and then anything can happen. All the pressure then is on Evangel in that second game. And you were talking about home court advantages and, who that factors into. The ladies have that, as the late Coach McNellis would say, got a little dog in them. They're tough. They're gritty. They'll enjoy that. And I can tell you this, the men looking at the inside of the facility there in Williamsburg, Kentucky, and where Cumberland plays, the more they can pack in, the better. That is going to remind all those Mississippi JUCO guys, community college guys, of their JUCO days, and they absolutely cherish a large crowd. For better or worse, sometimes they'll play to that crowd a little bit. But if they're able to get there and silence that crowd and get going, they will feed off of that, like we saw at, let's say, at Thomas or a Life or some of those different road venues that we were at this year. So, yeah, I think the women are absolutely capable of handling it, and I think a large crowd, if Carey's playing well, actually benefits the men. I really do.
All right, back on this women's bracket, quiz
Yes.
time. Shawnee State, want to guess who their mascot is?
Shawnee State. I won't start preparation until middle of the week, so I've got nothing.
Which I mean, Shawnee State is going to be the opposite venue
It was
from
the
where
other
you'll
one,
be.
yes, but I haven't even,
Shawnee State Bears. Now, a team that you said that you were familiar with as far as a school, Evangel, they used to be the Crusaders until 2021. They changed it. They are now the Evangel Valor, and their logo for a Valor is a horse.
Okay.
The more you know. You know, I got to cover a couple baseball games for State, Mississippi State, that is, just a couple weeks back, and their opening weekend game was against Hofstra. That was their opening series. And the Hofstra Pride was, their full nickname. So it was after the two lions that were in their original school crest or logo or something of that nature. But Josh, back in 2001, or up until 2001, they were the Flying Dutchman. Why would you ever move away from something like that?
I thought they were still the Flying Dutchman.
No.
Is that one of those things where, like the Cleveland Guardians, the locals still call them the Indians? Do all the locals still call them the Flying Dutchman? Will they never?
And I don't even think it was for a PC reason they changed from Flying Dutchman. I mean, I guess if you're talking about a Dutch people group, maybe you don't want that as much as you want to something generic. But, man, it's like one of those minor league baseball type of mascots you just love, like the baby cakes.
Where did the Presbyterian Blue Hose come from? HOSE. Where did that come from?
Now that I couldn't tell you. I do not know. Does Dalton know?
Probably not.
Okay. Well, maybe our Google machine could tell us during the break of this one. But, hey, we got postseason basketball coming your way. Josh is going to go out to Williamsburg and cover those. Do we have game time set for Friday's matchup?
Last I saw, 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock. I'll double check in the break, but I believe 5 p.m. So I assume that is 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central.
Okay.
I'll double check.
So watch your local listings, and Josh will be on the call for that one. You can catch that. You'll have the link on the schedule for William Carey's website, CareyAthletics.com. Also be available on social media platforms and the works, as William Carey will play in Williamsburg, Kentucky, here coming up this Friday, where they'll take on Xavier and hopefully take on the winner of Cumberland's and Indiana Tech. More to come as we've got Coach Bobby Halford on the horn next for you here on Crusader Talk. Stay tuned.
From the coaches to the student athletes and the fans that cheer them on, you're listening to Crusader Talk on SuperTalk Hattiesburg 97.3 and SuperTalkHattiesburg.com.
All right, continue on here on Crusader Talk. We've talked basketball. Now time to go to the other sport involving the letter B, baseball. As the Crusaders are fresh off of a weekend sweep of the Point Skyhawks down the road in West Point, Georgia. Coach Bobby Halford joins us on the phone here for our third segment. Coach, how was the bus ride to and from Georgia? I know it's one of several that Carey has to make each and every year, but it feels a little bit better, I feel like, coming home with 3 wins in tow.
Oh, anytime that you can do that, it's always a better ride. Of course it is. We played well, and we're playing better every week, it seems like right now.
All right, I want to start with pitching, because this is a William Carey team that has seen its share of newcomers into the program, but Matthew Davis really seemed like he settled in there on the Game 1 start against Point. He goes 7+ and gets the win, improving to 4-1 on the year. He gives up a handful of hits and a couple of runs, but all in all, with the help of the offense that was backing him the whole way, really was pretty easy en route to a 12-3 win.
Yeah, he's gotten better each week. Last year he was injured for about a month and came back from it toward the end, and but he's kind of picked up in the last few weeks. He's thrown the ball the way he's capable of and what we expected of him.
Now, before I get kind of too deep into this series against Point, I do want to cycle back to a big series last weekend hosting Abraham Baldwin. That was a team that a lot of people had circled on their SSAC lineup of different teams coming into the year. After they made such a big splash last year, and the Crusaders are able to get the 2 wins to win the series last week, and really it made it kind of eventful. Thanks to a big grand slam to walk them off in one of those. It feels like that's such a really big series win that could pay dividends down the road for you.
Yeah, and of course I felt like we should have swept them. We had a 5-0 lead in that third game, and our starting pitcher, Holden Hartzog, went out there, and he was really good and hurt his elbow and basically is going to have season-ending arm surgery. And when we went to the bullpen, we made a couple errors and kind of fell apart there in one inning, gave up 3 runs, and then battled back and had chances to win. We had a 1-run lead going to the last inning and basically gave it up. And again, we made an error and a couple of hits here and there, and we walked away from it thinking, we could have easily won all 3. So that was encouraging. And they're a very good team and very it's their second year back into our league and that type thing. Got a lot of JUCO kids, a lot of transfers from that area, and so they're going to be a formidable team down the stretch.
All right, so now, and just kind of looking back against Point, is we've got 2 different conference weekends under your belt now and a big series coming up. We'll get to Faulkner in just a little bit. But right now it feels like there's been a decent mix of the pitching but also really good offensive performances as of late. Who's really come alive for you recently? Because it feels like it's a different guy each and every game.
Well, it's taken us some time to kind of figure out our lineup because with all the new players that we've had and lost what we lost last year as far as the power, but this team we finally kind of settled in as far as our lineup and that type thing, and putting them in the right batting order and that type thing. So just the team. Somebody said this the other day. They said they don't have the power that they had last year, but they spray the ball around real well and don't strike out, and so that's the key for us. And, of course, we run real well all the way through the lineup for the most part, and we're capable of stealing a lot of bases, and we've been putting a lot of pressure on the other teams by doing that. But it's just been one game after it. And, of course, DJ Booth started to hit. Early in the season, I think he was pressing a little bit because he was our guy coming back, and he started really swinging the bat. And, of course, we've just had all the way through the lineup. And, of course, our freshman catcher just really played well, and he came in here at the break. We been trying to get him all year, as far as getting him in from Panama and that type thing. So finally, we got him here at the break, and so I think he's got almost 20 RBIs and about half the time of playing. So that's been big. Jaden Mark's been good all year, and Tyler Ducksworth has been real steady for us, and Hayes Carley, and just on. And a lot of these guys have just complimented each other throughout the lineup, and we're just doing it a little different than we did last year. We had the power group last year, and I think we've hit 15 home runs, something like that, so far, and that's in 23 games. And so anyway, it's just doing it a little different.
You alluded to one of the players that I wanted to focus on and ask about because I haven't got to put my eyes on him yet, and that's Franklin Hernandez, the guy that you've been trying to get to see the field since the early part of the season. Now you finally have, and through a couple of games, he's been involved in some scoring plays already this year. What's he brought to the table?
Well, he's a kid that can really catch. He can really catch and throw, but he's also really patient at the plate. And, the same contact that we have in Panama basically sent us, some information on him. And the first time we saw him on the video, we said, we got to get this guy. And him and Allen have played really well. Allen, the 2 freshmen that we have, Allen probably has played as well as any shortstop as far as defensively that I've had in a long time. And so right now he's kind of nursing a slight pull in his groin, and he might not be playing tomorrow night at West Alabama. He didn't play Saturday. He's kind of nursing that, but going into the weekend, he'd only made 1 error, and he's made some highlight plays as far as at shortstop. So we're real pleased with those 2 guys, and they're really contributing to us right now.
Talking with Coach Bobby Halford here on Crusader Talk. And Josh, you got something pulled up over there, I think, that pertains to what you wanted to ask Coach Halford about.
Yeah, no, hey, Coach, was just looking at the rankings, and I noticed that the first poll came out earlier this week, and I know that's something for the fans and the media, and it creates buzz and something you're able to push out there to get some interest going. But, there's my phone ringing. Let me turn that off, the beauty of live radio. But Cary 15, Faulkner 13, Loyola 9. This is a league that is top-heavy with those heavy hitters at the top. How do you see the top of this league and the strength of it right now through almost the halfway point of the season?
Well, I think it's very similar to what it has been the last few years. I mean, there's always teams in this league that can play at the national level and have played at the national level. So, it's a long season, and, we don't really get too much into the polls. I think that, of course, toward the end, it really makes a big difference as far as, playoffs and that type thing, whether you get to host a playoff or whether, you're in the what we call the opening round and that type thing. But, it's a long season. It's week to week. And, every week you got to do your job. You got to play well. And that's kind of what we're focused on right now. But from top to bottom, I think this league has been one of the best in the NAIA year in and year out for a long time.
Coach, let's kind of look ahead to what is coming up next for William Carey. A midweek matchup tomorrow night against West Alabama, a team that you have been familiar with for the last couple of years. Currently on a 5-game winning streak against the Tigers, but you've got that one and then a heated rivalry game or set of games coming against the Faulkner Eagles, a top 25 matchup between William Carey and Faulkner. So for our listeners, what do they have to look forward to?
Well, it's a good week for us. I told our guys today that, it'd be a good challenge tomorrow night because they're in first place in the Gulf South, and they won the Gulf South tournament last year and went to a regional. So, Eric Dubose is coaching them now, a guy that was all everything at Mississippi State, played pro ball, and so it's really kind of got them going. It's probably one of their best starts that they've had in a long time. So that's going to be fun for us. And then, of course, we'll prepare us for the weekend, and that's what it's all about. It's just a competition, and that's what you like, and that's what makes your team better. And so we look forward to it.
Coach, just kind of looking at the long haul of the season. I know we've still got a long way to go, but we're already 2 weeks under our belt of SSAC play. But you mentioned that Holton Hartzog out for a season-ending injury. You mentioned pulled groin for Hernandez and a couple other things.
Not Hernandez. No, sorry, McLean.
Sorry, McLean. Alan McLean. Other Panama. But coming forward or moving forward out of here, what are the biggest things that you're having to look at as far as decision-making moving forward, whether it be starting pitching or batting order? What are the biggest question marks you still have to have answers for as you continue on?
Well, I think that we have good depth. I think that's the thing last year we didn't have in the pitching staff. We had the injuries that occurred, and we had to use a couple of our relievers as starters toward the end, and so it kind of caught up with us. This year we have enough people. I think that's the positive thing. We have enough guys that you can not miss a beat. Like the other day, we had a couple of guys that we inserted in the lineup, and you didn't see a whole lot of difference. So that's the encouraging thing. Of course, injuries are part of the game, and that's part of having to adjust. But I think that's the biggest thing that I see right now is just we have different ways that we can maneuver as far as the lineup.
And lineups have been a thing of storied lore for you. And some seasons past, it felt like we never saw the same lineup out there on any given day in a row. How much has Jamie McMahon and Coach Eric Ebers really helped in preparing this group? Because there's a lot of new faces this year. And how have they helped prepare this team to be what they are right now?
Well, I think their work ethic, they work as hard as anybody out there, and good knowledge of the game and experience and that type thing. And then the three of us, we kind of on the same page because it's interesting. I walked in this morning and I said, this guy probably needs to start. He said, I've been thinking about that the whole time. And then Jamie's the same way. We'll talk about, moving the order around a little bit. And I think it's just a matter of the matchups a lot of times. And then having experienced guys that you're able to work with, they bring that experience to the table. And so I enjoy constructing, batting orders and that type thing. I think that's something I like to do, and the thing that I'm always thinking of, how we can make it better. And you look at the matchups, and I told one of the kids today, I said, you realize you're 2 for 22 against left-handers, or you're hitting 200 against left-handers, hitting a 450 against right-handers, and you're always working through that. You're always looking at the statistics, and you're always looking at the history. You're looking at how they've done against certain teams and that type of thing. So that all comes into play when you're preparing for a team each week.
It's amazing the analytics we have nowadays, even beyond just what you do against left-handers, what you do against right-handers. But can this guy hit a slider? Can this guy hit a curveball from left-handers? All the different things are just out there available now as you prepare for an opposing team and as they prepare for you as well. It's pretty incredible. But, Coach,
well, what was incredible is this week we faced a kid that through analytics we found out that about 72% of the time he swung his first pitch, which is just that's not a good stat for him, but I thought that was amazing. And the kid was a great runner, and we're thinking, man, that's pretty. It's easier to pitch to him because you don't have to throw him anything. You don't have to really give him a good fastball sometimes first pitch because he's hacking at it. So just those type things are, you're constantly trying to find an edge. You're constantly trying to find tendencies and that type thing. And with these stat programs we have today, and the different mechanisms that you can use. I mean, it tells you a story that in the past you might not have known that.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. Well, Coach, we'll see you on this weekend. Good luck against West Alabama and Faulkner. We'll see you around.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're listening to Crusader Talk on SuperTalk Hattiesburg 97.3 and SuperTalkHattiesburg.com.
All right. All kinds of stuff going on this weekend. Get ready for all the William Carey athletics, from basketball and men's basketball and women's basketball and postseason play. Men's going to be on the road in Williamsburg. Women going to Springfield, Missouri. Meanwhile, baseball and softball conference play. Softball about to begin conference play with a road trip out east to play Bruton Parker and finish off with ABAC and a 2-day set of games. Meanwhile, William Carey, after facing off against West Alabama on Tuesday night, will host the Faulkner Eagles. Now, you want to talk about a team that is likely smelling blood in the water. Faulkner, after what happened last year with the way their season ended prematurely because of the ineligible player that played 80% of their games, everything minus the last 2 weekend series of the year after Carey played them. This is not a truly hidden fact at this point, but they know that Carey had something to do with the ineligible player being found out. And so anybody that was a part of that team last year likely out for revenge in that one. And so who knows? Hopefully chippiness is completely subdued. At the end of the day, it's an error that should have been caught by the Faulkner staff. But, that didn't really matter to those that were involved at the university because they see it as enemy number one. Let's go after those Crusaders whenever they come to Hattiesburg. But two really good teams, top 25 matchup, even for reasons, notwithstanding the outside portion of this, not even looking at last season, this is already expected to be a really good matchup.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you mentioned top 25, but it's top 15 as well.
Yeah, top 15, 13 and 15.
Yeah, Faulkner 13, Carey 15. So it's in Hattiesburg. I was looking over the stats when Coach Halford was talking about the numbers of this pitching staff, and just a lot of guys that are, it kind of looks like interchangeable parts. Whoever's got it that day to their best, that if you don't have it, you're not going to be out there very long, but we've got somebody that can come in and can handle the situation. So that's really exciting. And on the other side in softball, here's softball, 14-7, into the polls at number 22. They need to do well in conference this weekend. Would certainly help a week from Tuesday to get a win over LSUA. But this is a Carey team that is very, very solid. And with Kenley Hogue leading the team with 4 homers and a .426 batting average. How about that? Yeah. Which is just incredible.
That's pretty awesome to see that from her. And I know we always cycle back to what she did in years past prior to this year, but it's awesome to see her succeed so much this year. And so a good chance to show their stuff against conference opponents coming up as the SSAC slate begins for the softball team. So just to give you that full lineup of games and action going on, today and tomorrow, William Carey is hosting over at Canebrake Country Club the Carey Collegiate Classic. A lot of college teams involved in that, by the way. So if you like golf, you're going to get to see a lot of good talent over there over in the West Hattiesburg area. Beach volleyball underway with meeting with Weber International over in Saraland, Alabama. They will also face off against Warner University and then finish off the weekend in Saraland against New College of Florida. And so that is what's to come for beach volleyball. Meanwhile, baseball mentioned Tuesday at West Alabama. They'll come back and host Faulkner for the Friday-Saturday slate. A Friday single game at 6 o'clock, and the doubleheader beginning at 1 o'clock on Saturday. Meanwhile, softball, they travel to Bruton Parker for Friday's doubleheader beginning at 1 o'clock, and then finish off with Abraham Baldwin at 11 the following day, Saturday, as they will be in Tifton, Georgia. Then again, men's basketball will be traveling out to Williamsburg, Kentucky. They will face off against Xavier, future conference opponent of William Carey's, at 5 o'clock Central Time. Winner will advance to Saturday's play, game time to be decided. Meanwhile, women's basketball will also be playing on Friday, and that will be against Shawnee State. So keep in tune for all of that as we get ready for postseason baseball, and then, as we said, right in the thick of things with baseball and softball as well. So, big weekend in Carey Athletics.
Yeah,
got to be good.
It is. And Elijah going to be filling in for Sean Sellers.
How about that?
On the PA mic. How about that?
We got to get him the sound effects ready, too. Maybe he can, once he gets his footing with the PA side of things, he can get his rain playlist ready for any games for that type of thing, or, the organ music for foul balls and everything else.
Oh, you're just now getting right into his wheelhouse.
Oh, man, we're just scratching the surface with Elijah.
It's World Baseball Classic right now at our house. I don't know what it's like at your house when you're home and able to catch something, but
Dragon Tales, Caillou. No, not
Bluey.
Caillou. Bluey. Bluey's great. Love Bluey. We love Bluey.
But it's baseball, and it's here.
Yeah. Big week. So, all the latest and greatest available at CareyAthletics.com. Don't forget you can subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, you name it. It's all available for you on the platform. You can get alerts whenever we post the latest and greatest episode, or you can catch us live every Monday night from 7 until 8 on your radio at 97.3 in the greater Hattiesburg area. But that's a podcast in the book for us. Our thanks to Coach Bobby Halford for joining us in the third segment of the program, and thank you to Dalton Stanford for producing Behind the Board and getting the podcast posted promptly after we finish up. And for my co-host Josh West, I'm Caleb Hamill saying until next time, good night, God bless, and go Satyrs.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.